Hello, and welcome to It Matters How We Treat One Another, the social psychology show. I am your host, Matthew David Vasco. If you want to learn more about me or the format of this show, then you'll want to go back and watch or listen to episode 1. And you can now find all of our episodes in podcast form on our new website at it-matters.captivate.fm. That's it-matters.captivate.fm. We can be found on the Captivate hosting platform. We open today with our inspiring news segment. Like I mentioned in previous episodes, I would love for this segment to be viewer and listener driven. So if inspiring things are happening in your community, please email me at mdvasco@gmail.com. That's M as in Matthew, D as in David, VASKO@gmail.com, and let me know. This week's inspiring news story comes from the BBC. The headline reads, hashtag I am here. The people trying to make Facebook a nicer place. I actually feel like maybe the headline sort of downplays what's actually going on a little bit, but the subheadline clarifies by saying, quote, a network of tens of thousands of online volunteers are fighting hate speech on Facebook. They organize under the slogan, hashtag I am here. This is literally as many as 75,000 volunteers in places like Sweden, where the movement began, all taking to Facebook's public pages to work to counter hate speech. I once heard that the best antidote to hate speech is more speech. So these folks might really be onto something here. Here are some excerpts from the article. Hashtag I am here members spend their spare time scanning Facebook for conversations happening on big pages, often run by mainstream media organizations, which are overwhelmed with racist, misogynistic, or homophobic comments. They don't attempt to change the minds of people posting hate or argue directly with extremists. Instead, they collectively inject discussions with facts and straightforwardly argued, reasonable viewpoints. The idea is to provide balance so that other social media users see that there are alternative perspectives beyond the ones offered up by the trolls. The volunteers also say they don't target conservative views or any other mainstream opinions. Instead, hashtag I am here activists say their mission is to change the overall tone of online debate, counteract hate storms, and make Facebook a nicer place overall. I think what's so admirable, this is me now speaking, I think what's so admirable, and as the name of this segment suggests, inspiring about this concept is that it might help prevent folks from going down the online hate rabbit hole, right? I mean, if they are able to see a more balanced viewpoint than the one that is being made in the comments section on some of these mainstream pages on Facebook, then perhaps their own good judgment might help balance their internal viewpoint a little bit more. Anyway, I think it's a good thing to know that there are people out there trying to spread facts and reasonable viewpoints online. I find that reassuring, don't you? Perhaps one of this show's listeners will get inspired and spread that movement or something like it here in the United States. Or maybe it already exists here in the United States and I simply don't know about it. If you know of a similar movement here in the US, then please write to me and let me know. Thanks. Welcome to today's main segment. Rather than do an interview this episode, I want to focus upon something that happened on X this week, the platform formerly known as Twitter. It seems that Elmo, everyone's favorite 3.5-year-old Muppet, eternally 3.5-year-old Muppet, right, started this past week by asking a rather simple question. He simply said, Elmo is just checking in. How is everybody doing? And the mountain of responses that Elmo received go right to the heart of what the first two episodes of this show were really talking about. People are not doing well. That tweet, is it still called a tweet? That tweet has been viewed over 200 million times, and tens of thousands of people have chimed in with responses like, and I'm quoting now, Elmo, I'm depressed and broke. And, quote, I'm at my lowest. Thanks for asking. And one person said, Elmo, I'm going to be real. I'm at my effing limit. Except they didn't say effing. These are examples of the kinds of responses lovable Elmo was getting on X when he asked, how is everyone doing? So this is where we are at, America. I think people are still struggling from the height of the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020. Folks are still feeling isolated, lonely, anxious, and depressed. Maybe I just described you. Maybe I described someone else you know. Maybe we all can think of someone in our lives right now who has been feeling down. It's interesting to take a step back and evaluate what happened on X with this simple message from Elmo. Because first of all, who is more safe to talk to than Elmo from Sesame Street, right? So I think people just felt safe to speak up. Plus, unlike Facebook, lots of people use aliases on X, so they have a certain amount of anonymity. I think this makes people feel a little braver to share what's really on their minds. And in that format, there are no consequences for absolute honesty. You can be honest in a tweet and nobody's going to tell you to go get help. Well, except that Elmo did. The nice people who managed that account did share some mental health resources, and I think that's great. We should be doing that kind of thing for one another. There is no shame in seeking help if you need it. That might become my mantra on this show. There is no shame seeking help if you need it. And seeking help can be as simple as talking to a trusted friend, right? I mean, like a real friend, right? In the real world, not your lovable Muppet friend from a beloved children's show, right? We got to talk to our friends, talk to our family members who love us about what's actually going on with us, right? We are social creatures. I think we can forget how important connection is, especially when we're feeling down. I think the big thing lots of us need to do right now here in the United States, maybe all over the world, is find community. And I don't mean virtual community, but a real caring community with the like-minded people who will care about us and we can care about them in return. You can find this type of community at places like churches, school. If you're a student, maybe at school, sometimes even in the workplace for us working stiffs. But if your workplace isn't providing you community and connection, then it becomes even more important to find it somewhere else, because we all need community and connection. If you can't immediately name one or two communities that you are active in somewhere in your real 3D world, then I'm going to recommend that you seek it out. Find a hobby, get involved, maybe join a gym, find a new activity or sport, or volunteer somewhere in your town or city, but find community and connection. There's a statement I sometimes make on the It Matters How We Treat One Another page, and it is this: we are meant to love and care for one another. There is evidence to show that when we reach out to help someone else, it also makes us feel better ourselves. So here's your assignment that I'm going to leave you with in this segment. Reach out to someone you haven't connected with in a while, maybe since before the pandemic, and ask them how they're doing. You might even try using this phrase that I like to kind of lay on people sometimes and see if maybe you get a more genuine answer out of them. And it's a pretty simple phrase. It just goes like this. But like, how are you really doing? Really, right? How are you doing really? And maybe, just maybe, that's why Elmo got such a reaction, because people know that when Elmo asks, how is everybody doing? People know that Elmo means, how is everybody doing really? And that does it for episode 3 of It Matters How We Treat One Another. Here is your takeaway. I have actually 3 takeaways for you today. They are: if you're looking for a way to make a positive difference without leaving the comfort of your own home, then consider joining the hashtag I Am Here movement on Facebook. 2, if you're feeling down, then seek out community and connection. Talk to a friend or family member. Simply open up about how you're feeling, and doing so can make a big difference. And remember to seek professional help if you need it. There's no shame in that. Find at least one person. This is your third one. Find at least one person who you haven't connected with in a while and see how they are doing. You might even ask, how are you doing really? Please subscribe to keep up with all of our latest episodes. You can support the show by shopping our Etsy store at etsy.com/shop/itmattersmerch. There's a link in our description. Your quote of the week is as follows: connection is why we are here. It is what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. That is from Brene Brown. And that does it for this episode. And remember, treat everyone with kindness, respect, empathy, and compassion, and try for acceptance and love whenever possible. Be well, and much love to you all. Bye.